Hey everybody, happy Saturday to you guys. So I wanted to drop this video today. I'm pre-recording it. I'm just letting you know. And by the time you guys are watching it, I've decided to do something a little differently. I've decided to premiere it so that when it drops, I will already have been on the road and I can watch the comments, or if there are any comments at all, I can watch them in real time. Now, we are heading to North Carolina for the week. My daughter's track team, a lot of parents, we're all going, a lot of us, because our kids are competing in the Junior Olympics. It's at North Carolina A&T University. I've never been to North Carolina, and I'm going to be on this charter bus for many, many hours with a bunch of athletes as well as their parents. So I figured, this could kind of be something that I could look back on and I could watch as it's premiering. So by the time I guess it premieres, we will have been on the road for a little bit. It's roughly 13 hours, I guess. But if you count how many times we may have to stop because of the kids, then who knows? This is my daughter's third time qualifying for the Junior Olympics. It's about 13,000 athletes from all over the country competing. And sometimes when people think of the Junior Olympics or Olympics in general, the biggest draw is track and field, which that's what she does. But there's a lot of other things that go on at the Junior Olympics as well. There's gymnastics, there's swimming. It really is set up very much like the regular Olympics that happens every 4 years. But the biggest draw is track and field, and that's what they're going there for. So we will be there for the week, and we head back next Saturday. After there's kids competing all week long. My daughter competes at the beginning of the week, Monday and Tuesday, and there's kids competing all the way up until next Saturday. So it's going to be a very long and hot week, but I'm here for it. I'm happy for her, and this is what she loves to do. So I am an invested track mom. That's what I spend my summers doing. That's what I spend my days doing. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of give you that, or preface it with that, so that when you see it, I'm not technically live. So, some people might be like, hey, and I'm not technically there. Okay, so I won't be able to speak back to you in real time. I'm sorry about that. But I did want to do this video to kind of touch on a few things that I've just seen over the week. It's almost kind of like a recap. Like I said, I wanted to try something different. I'm just trying something different. That's all. So there's a few things that I have captured over the week, or some things that have happened over the week that I wanted to just kind of recap on. And I'm trying not to make this a really long broadcast. So forgive me if it does get a little long-winded. Sometimes it just be that way. But the first thing I wanted to talk about was this thing with Monique. Now, if you haven't caught the videos of Monique, I think they're on Comedy Hype. It's on YouTube, and that's how I saw it. And it's been all over the internet. People have been talking about it for a while, all week, and everybody have very strong opinions about it, whether they're pro Monique or they're against Monique. I've seen both sides, and I have watched all the videos. So the way the YouTube channel, I think it's called Comedy Hype, don't quote me, but the way they have it set up, they have it broken up. So they have a section of her talking about Steve Harvey. They have one talking about Whoopi. And they also have a part of it that I think was the most intriguing to me was Oprah. And as I watched Monique, especially when she talked about Steve Harvey, I saw a lot of comments from Black people really taking issue with Monique. And, I'm not shocked. I'm not. Monique was basically saying that the interview that she had with Steve Harvey, he edited a lot of it out. And I believe it. He edited the part about what he said to her out. Like, how, these white boys out here, how they didn't come to him and tell him this when they was changing up this, them white boys didn't say this. And he failed to put that into the hour-long show. But he put he made sure he put in the parts about, well, why didn't you come to me, Monique? Or you ain't playing the game right, or you out here burning bridges. He made sure he said that about her. And I saw a lot of people saying things like, Monique is a clown. Monique is selfish. She's just silly. Monique is just childish. She's spoiled. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is why Black folks can't get nowhere. It's because a lot of us keep thinking if we just play this whole respectability project or respectability politics kind of game, all will be well. If you just fall in line, if you just play it like this, you'll get to the money. Now, the truth be told, maybe there's some truth to that. If you just fall in line with the way white people want you to act, maybe you can get to the money. But you see what happened with Steve Harvey. He fell in line, he played the game, and you see what's happening to him now. He's losing his gigs and things like that. I think he still got Family Feud, which I actually do like him on. But you see what all of that playing the game got him. And people are mad at Monique because she just wants to do it her way. She don't want to play the Hollywood game. See, people, they just kill me when it comes to stuff like this. They'll sit here and dog Monique for the fact that she feels like this is what she's worth. She knows her worth and this is what she wants. And she don't want to play this game and she don't want to play that game. They mad at her for not playing along with the game, but then they call out the very people that do. How many times have you heard the things like, oh, well, some of them comedians and some of those guys, in order for them to get those roles, they had to sit on that casting couch. They may have to do some things that they didn't want to do. Hollywood is full of gay people, and you've heard it all. You've heard it all. And so, which one is it? Do you want people to play the game, or do you not want them to play the game? Like, which one is it? Let's go back for a moment to Precious. A lot of people got on Monique because of, this is kind of where all this kind of blew up. Monique was paid $50,000 for that role. Now, at the time, I'm sure Lee Daniels didn't know what it was going to do. Monique didn't know what it was going to do, but she did this for a friend. This was a favor for a friend. Now, please understand that Precious went on to be critically acclaimed, Oscar worthy, and made well over $60-something million. It took about $10 million to make the movie, and we know how he got some of that money. You see how Damon Dash had to come after Lee Daniels. Lee Daniels is an unscrupulous, shady man. So he paid his so-called friend $50,000 for it. And he goes on to make all this profit, all this money, all these producers, including Oprah Winfrey, who had a hand in this. They all got paid, and Monique got paid $50,000. And yet they was upset with her because she wouldn't do these press runs. Again, yes, we understand how Hollywood works. Yes, she did sign the contract for a friend, but now you want me to jump through all these hoops, and I'm not getting much of anything off of this movie that made millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. And now, as we can see over the last several years, how it's coming out about how Lee Daniels moves, definitely how Oprah Winfrey moves. Now, I have no qualms with Tyler Perry. I have no bones to pick with him. And to be honest with you, I didn't necessarily care for how Monique handled that situation with Tyler Perry. He seems to me to be the only one that was trying to resolve it, even though he himself had to admit that what was done to Monique was wrong. He admitted that what was done to her is wrong. Now, the only reason we knew that is because Monique recorded their phone call, which again, I didn't like that. Now, if I have to, tap Monique on the hand, bad girl, I didn't like that she did that, because I think he was the only one coming from a genuine place with her. Although, again, even he would not go against Hollywood. This is a man who is making millions upon millions of dollars. He didn't want to rock the apple cart either. So he had to play it up, but he told her in private, or what he thought was private, yes, Monique, you are right. You're right. And so all these people out here trying to make it seem that Monique is crazy. She's childish. She's deranged. Her husband's messing up her career. I mean, listen, there is somebody that always have to take the arrows and take the darts so that other people can get through. And if Monique wants to lay herself on the tracks for other people, so be it. But I think that this is a woman who doesn't feel regretful. She doesn't regret how she's moving. And if she is happy knowing that she didn't have to kiss ass and she didn't have to play the Hollywood game. And again, all these people that always want to talk about how freaky and how crazy Hollywood is, how phony it is. This is a woman who decided she didn't want to play that game. And now people are saying, well, you should have. Well, I don't see why you're moving like that. You shouldn't move like that. There's a few people out there that won't play that game. All right. And then y'all want to call them crazy. But are they really crazy? Because now the chickens are coming home to roost for Lee Daniels. You see what's happening with him. So was she really crazy after all? With all this stuff coming with Oprah and how Oprah did her wrong. And then we see how Oprah did Michael Jackson. We see how Oprah moved around when it came to the Central Park Five, how she honestly did not believe them at first. She had the prosecutor on her show a long time ago. She was not believing those boys. And now all of a sudden she's changed her tune now that she's a part of When They See Us. And now she never once apologized publicly for how she actually believed the prosecutor, the fact that these boys, she believed the boys did it. And now all of a sudden, she want to change her tune because Ava DuVernay, created this movie so that the world could see how these boys was wrong. But Oprah, she's fake. She's fake. And I'm glad people are finally seeing it. And I'm glad that Monique felt comfortable to say what she said. She just seems to me to be a person that does not live in regret. I know a lot of people don't like her husband. I used to at one point think that her husband was a little shady too. But now I'm seeing, you know what? That maybe that's how she wanted to move all along. Maybe she just didn't want to play the Hollywood game and people shouldn't be mad at her for not doing that. Okay. Maybe Monique taking the hits will ensure that the next comedian coming along would be able to get more out of Netflix. You see, okay, here's a prime example of what playing the game does. You see how Tiffany Haddish is moving. You see how she shuck and jive in the camera all the time, playing the stereotypical ghetto hood rat, how she brought that piece of chicken or had a box of chicken in her purse or something like that at the Met Gala. Like, you cannot tell me that ain't playing Hollywood. That's exactly what she doing. They laughing at her. All right. That's what Monique did not want to do. And so I commend her for that. And so all these people giving her a hard time, I'm just like, you know what? It's always going to be people like that. It's always going to be people like that don't want to stand up for themselves and don't want to stand up for the bigger cause. And there's just a few people like Monique that's going to she's going to fall on the sword so that other people probably would have a better chance after her. So I commend her for that. That's all I got to say on that. Now, I did a video a couple of days ago on the young girl from my hometown, Chicago, Janise Harris. And you guys probably have seen the video. If you haven't, you can check out my channel. Janise was the young mentally challenged girl that was beaten by a mob of girls and a boy. Now, I've seen a bit more to the story. First things first, 4 of the girls have been charged with aggravated battery. I believe one of the girls, as far as when I watched the news last night, one of the girls is home. So the other girl's in juvenile detention, but one girl is home with an ankle monitor. And I guess they said that she can go to church, she can go to school. I doubt the girl's going to church at all, but they're just saying she can go out for certain stuff, but she has to stay in the house. She probably was better off. I got to be honest. She was probably better off at the detention center, the juvenile detention center. We call it the Audi home here in Chicago. Some of y'all Chicagoans know what I'm saying. But yeah, people looking for these girls. And, I also posted a video of them crying. Now they want to boo-hoo and act like, they're so sorry about what they did. Now, I've seen several videos. This is how it went. So supposedly these girls were trying to get Janise to have sex with an 18-year-old dude. Okay. nasty little boys. These girls are no older than Janise herself. They all out here trying to get freaky with some nasty little boys. Janise didn't want to do it. I saw the video. There's a video floating around where Janise flagged down a police officer. It's a squad. It's like a unmarked car. So it was like an unmarked truck, but there was the police. The police asked, what was going on and everything like that. The girls basically came up like, no, it's fine. She's fine. Everything's fine. Okay. You could see a couple of boys in the background getting mad. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Then they followed Janise into this alley. She was trying to leave. Like, I just don't, they was like, you going to try to tell the police on us? Did you tell them anything? She's like, I just want to go. I just want to go. I just want to go. And they start to wail on her. They just start to beat her. And the last thing I can remember is how she was screaming. That just broke my heart to hear how she was screaming. You could see how shocked she was by that assault. And the fact that they're beating on this girl and they're laughing and they think it's funny. And it's just like the fact that there are kids that don't have a conscience just blows me. It's scary more than anything, because these are the same people that are literally going to parks where there's full of kids shooting at other people. And they have no conscience, because if you had a conscience, you wouldn't shoot out there with other children. But these are the kids that grow up to be killers. All right. So maybe the fact that these girls are now in custody will hopefully change the trajectory of their life. I doubt it. I know that's not the nicest thing to say, but I'm just sick. I'm sick of seeing stuff like that. And it happens all the time. It happens all the time. They think it's funny. All right. I saw these kids also from my hometown. They went into this Dollar General store, and somebody was recording them from the outside, like some adult. And they all just kind of, as a mob, just ran into the store and just started coming out with all kinds of stuff. Just coming out with food, chips. They just started with the giggling, they laughing, they all running out with all this stuff. They just looting the store. And somebody came out with a carton of eggs. And all I could think to myself is, now, this is the kind of shit that just plagues our community. And then when these kind of stores decide they want to leave your neighborhood and they want to close up shop and they don't no longer want to do business in that neighborhood, now we want to complain and say there's no stuff in our community. There are no stores in our community. Well, you see, this is why this kind of stuff happens. And I don't want to always keep beating up on the Black community, but we have to call a spade a spade. These kids aren't being raised. You're right. They're not being raised. And I'm going to get to that later in this video about toxic parenting and toxic mothers. Next thing is A$AP Rocky, which I saw was going down. A$AP is still in custody. His old little Donald Trump thing didn't work. Donald Trump talking about, if the Swedish government don't let A$AP Rocky out, they're letting the African American community down. I saw that tweet and I'm like, bitch, are you serious? Dude, I know you are not talking about if they don't let A$AP Rocky out, they are letting the African American community down. No, that did not come out of his orange lips. Dude, you welcome police brutality, the way how racist you are, the way you talk about Black people. The only reason he taken up for A$AP, because he probably already know that A$AP Rocky don't believe in Black Lives Matter. He don't give a damn. Remember, he said he's too rich to be bothered with the problems of of Black people. He ain't no damn Al Sharpton, in his words. And so here the government, just Donald Trump trying to pander to. I hope Black people ain't stupid enough to really fall for the bullshit. I really hope Black people really don't fall for that foolishness. That is the most ridiculous thing. He talking about, if they don't let A$AP Rocky out, they let we don't care. Word to Donald Trump. We don't give a damn. We don't care. We don't. Do I think the boy should be locked up for that, for defending himself? I do not. I don't. I never thought once that he deserved to be locked up for that. But at the same time, I just don't care either. I just don't, because he wouldn't be out here, protesting for my child. Remember, it's above him. He don't care about it because, he lives in Beverly Hills and Soho. So if it was my son over there, he wouldn't give a damn. You wouldn't see Donald Trump on no tweet talking about, if you don't let out, John Jacob have a slit, or whatever. you wouldn't see him tweeting about my kids or your kids. So who gives a shit? I just don't. Sorry, it's above me. Next up is the Lela Rochon, Nicki Murphy thing. So, as you know, Nicole Murphy came out and apologized for kissing on her family friend. And I feel like I've talked about this to death by now, but I saw a video yesterday that disturbed me. Funky Dineva made a video. One of my favorite YouTubers, by the way. Funky Dineva made a video. And I gotta say, he was all the way wrong, in my opinion. He was all the way wrong. He basically tried to fat shame Lela and say, well, to be truthfully honest, he was basically saying, well, Lela's fat and Nicole Murphy, and when men are out here, men are always looking to screw 20-something-year-old women. They always looking to procreate. It's just a natural male urge to want to procreate with women who look like they are, just can carry babies. And first things first, he got it all wrong. I've always read that the girthier a woman is, the more it looked like she is able to be fertile and to carry babies. Not the other way around. I'm not going to skinny shame Nicole Murphy either, but she's straight up and down. A beautiful woman, but Lela is too. But I think he got that twisted. I think it's the other way around, that the thicker woman, to me, seemed like she would be more readily available or able to carry, as far as as opposed to the skinnier woman. He just threw me off. I was just like really turned off by his assessment. Now, the only thing I will say I agree with him on his video is that he said a part of him he said it straight out. He didn't feel sympathy for Lela because she did know what kind of husband she had and she still stuck around. Now, I do feel sympathy for her, even though I think there's truth in what he said. I think there's absolute truth in the fact that, on one hand, I could feel sympathy for a woman who is being publicly humiliated. But on the other hand, she also knew that she was with a man for the last 20 years who has fathered supposedly I know he fathered one, definitely. There's another one supposedly out there too, overseas. But there's also talks of another child that's out there. And he's been screwing around on Lela for 20 years. And this was while Lela was looking like the sunshine, waiting to exhale Lela. So his argument is null and void to me. Funky Dineva's argument doesn't hold water. Okay? Because if that was the case about her appearance, what can you say about Lala? Lala is getting cheated on. Lala has been cheated on. And Lala is all, hourglass shape and stuff like that. You got Halle Berry, considered one of the most beautiful women in the world, that's constantly getting cheated on. You have Beyonce, who got cheated on. So, and I can go on and on. There's a litany of women who are considered aesthetically pleasing to the eyes that have been cheated on. So that argument holds no validity to the fact that he's saying that basically Antoine cheated on Lela because she's fat. Like, it just doesn't hold weight to me. And I just think that he was off. He was off. And like I said, I love Funky Dineva. I absolutely adore Funky Dineva, but his argument was way off base, and he should have deleted that. He should have just deleted that. But one thing I can say about Funky Dineva, even when I don't agree with him, is that he stands in it. Like, he will leave it up. He will not come back and backtrack. He will stand in his argument, even though a lot of people was feeling the way I was feeling. I was looking at his comments, and they was giving him the business. I knew what he was feeling and how he was going to approach this when I saw him post on Instagram. Like, he said something along the lines of, I bet a whole lot of women are checking their food pies and their double chins or something like that. And I know, okay, he on the bullshit. He going to say something stupid. I knew where he was going, and he did not disappoint. And he definitely said some stupid shit. All right. So yeah, that just threw me off. I'm just thinking like, dude, Black women, and I'm sure a lot of them that follow him and listen to him for his reviews, That's his core audience. And he has said some very problematic things at times that to me makes me feel like, what is your deal with black women? Why do you dislike black women so much? But they're your core audience. They are the women who make you the money. But sometimes you just do too much when it comes to how he speaks about black women. That's just my observation. But like I said, I still enjoy his reviews. I caught that little shade that he threw at Nicole Murphy with the Pose. He said something, she looks like somebody from Pose. And I thought, oh, okay. I don't know what you was trying to do there or what you was insinuating. But, considering you're part of that community, I'm a little shocked that would come from him. But that's neither here nor there. Now, it is coming out that Nicole Murphy has done this on more than one occasion. And it's not just Lisa Ray, husband. She seems to be like the cousin Faith of Hollywood. Okay. You got to watch this one around your man. All right. But at the same time, I don't want to put it all on Nicole, because if these married men are making themselves available, and that's to me always been the problem. Single women are making themselves available to married men, and married men are acting like they're single. And here lies the problem. All right. Herein lies the problem. But that's a completely different video that could go on for hours and hours. Would be a great discussion. I am trying to learn how to do call-ins because I want to do live videos eventually, but I would love to learn how to do like the live call-ins, because I would love to start talking about just relationship stuff. It's not always celebrity stuff. I do enjoy gossiping and stuff like that, but I really do kind of enjoy this whole idea of what relationships are, and the definition of relationships, and the responsibility of men and women. I would love to dive more deep into these kind of conversations, and I hope to get that up and running soon, as soon as life kind of slows down with the whole track stuff. But yeah, so I don't know if y'all call it Queen Radio yesterday. Nicki dropped a new episode, and she was the Nicki that I always enjoy. She did some freestyles. This is what I was talking about on my other video when it comes to Nicki. That is what I wanted to hear from her. This is what I was hoping to see. I'm not going to dive too deep into Nicki, but this is what I wanted. She seems like she's in a happy place. Like I said, I feel like Nicki was just trying to figure out her sound. I hated that. The minute she dropped, when I said something about her dropping Suge, I saw so many people, but I'm not shocked, because people are just going to hate. I just wish that they would just come out and say, I hate her, and just be done with it. Stop trying to be all critical and critique every little thing she says or little thing she doesn't say. Just come out and say you hate her. And at least I can respect that much. But anyway, when Nicki dropped Suge last week, I saw people like, it's underwhelming. I wish she had more, whatever. And I'm just thinking to myself, you guys are such hypocrites, because let those same bars had came out of the mouth of any other rapper, and y'all would be drooling all over them. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, Joe Budden would have been all over. Oh my God. Oh, just if it would have anybody else, any other rapper had dropped the same bars that Nicki did, people would have lost their minds. But because it was Nicki, it was like, it's just, I don't think it's fair for the bar to be set so high for her, and then it's set on the floor for other people. And she always has to jump over that high ass bar, a 9-foot bar, while everybody else is required to jump over a 2-foot bar. I just don't think that's right. I don't think it's right. But, I'm not going to go into my Nicki Minaj rant, because I could seriously go on and on and on and on about it. The last thing I'm going to talk about is this thing that just happened, about a day ago? First things, I'm going to start with Fab. So Fabolous and Emily. You guys may remember Emily. She started with Love and Hip Hop New York years ago, like the first Love and Hip Hop. And from the beginning, we saw how Fabolous was treating her. He never acted like he wanted to claim her. Never act like he was in love with her. Never act like he wanted to even be bothered with her. never really married her. She just kind of got strung along while he cheated. He cheated. Remember, if you guys remember that first season, what's her name? I can't think of her. Jules Santana's girl, Kimbella. Kimbella basically said, she sucked him off. And that's kind of how Chrissy ended up beating Kimbella in the face. So Emily has always just been a doormat for Fab. So I guess TMZ the other day reported that Fab was seen out with some kind of teacher. They were seen out on this date. Okay. Now, Fab don't never say nothing, but he was on his Carmelo bag. He was in his Carmelo bag, and he decided to take the Instagram to say, hey, TMZ, I'm going to sue y'all for defamation. He said defamation. Lord Jesus. Lord be a dictionary and a spell check. But anyway, he said, I'm suing y'all for defamation because, that was a business meeting. Don't be trying to mess up my family. I mean, again, he was in his Carmelo Anthony bag. Don't say shit. Don't say happy birthday to Emily. Don't say, he didn't even come out when he beat Emily and broke her teeth out. He didn't come out and say a word when he was chasing her father with a knife, threatening to kill him. But he decides to come out yesterday or the other day and say, hey, don't be trying to break up my family. That's my family. I love Emily. Now, you guys have to remember something. Fab was charged with assault or something like that. He is facing charges. He is facing a conviction at this point. Word on the street was that he married Emily, because if he had married her, then I guess there's something like, well, she don't have to testify against him, right? So a lot of people speculated that he married her so that she wouldn't have to testify against him. Okay. Now, it's also being rumored that Emily is over Fab and she just moved on. She living her best life. Now, this is all rumors. These are all speculations. But now Fab want to get out here and be like, oh, I love her, blah, 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 blah. I love Emily. Don't be trying to mess up my family. I love her. I think Emily has just gotten to the point that she's tired of it. She has probably finally realized how toxic he is and the situation is, and she's finally let go. It was really sad and horrific to some of you guys probably caught that video a long time ago when somebody was recording Emily kind of like screaming out. They were outside, looked like in the driveway, and her father was yelling at him like, and her father and Fab was into it. And he was like, don't have nobody in my house, blah, 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 blah. And he was threatening Emily's father. I think her brother was out there too. And then you turn around and now you back with him. And y'all posted up in this happy family photos. And I'm just thinking to myself, what the hell? What on earth? And what I hope Emily realizes that what she doesn't, and maybe she didn't realize it right away, but her staying with this man who literally broke her teeth out of her mouth and couldn't even publicly say anything about it. But now he wants to publicly get on Instagram and say, oh, I love her and blah, 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 blah. But when he couldn't publicly say nothing at the time when he did what he did. You don't love that girl. You never loved. You would not break her teeth out of her mouth if you loved her. And that's toxic. And what she's not realizing is she probably embedded that kind of toxic like shit into her daughter, who is now dating a rapper. I hope her daughter does not inherit what her mother had. And she just takes all kinds of bullshit from a man just to have one, just to say you got one. Emily has been through a lot with this man. She has been through a lot. She has been the subject of ridicule for years. And I think she is finally over it. I think she has finally come out of the fog. That's why sometimes, as much as we want people to just leave toxic relationships, sometimes you just got to let them figure it out on their own. You just pray to God that something like this that became physical, they don't end up getting killed from it. You just pray that they don't lose their life over it. And Emily could have very well lost her life. He was controlling. He was abusive. But Fabolous has been out here in the streets forever, since they've been together. Never was interested in marrying her until this case came up. Then all of a sudden it's rumored that they are now married. So you ain't gonna tell me that ain't no, that's just like, oh, he was just finally ready. No, he wasn't. He's just trying to keep this girl from testifying against him. because there's some kind of something along the lines of a wife doesn't have to testify against her husband. He knew what the hell he was doing. And so when he took to Instagram talking about he apologized, he's sorry, he just don't want her to mess around and decide to say nothing. All right. He don't want her to probably get his ass locked up because she really does have that power. She could very well testify against her. I doubt if she will, because she probably don't want to see her son's father, go to jail. But at the same time, maybe she's just over it. And I was looking at her post, and the way she's posting, she's over him. She is definitely over Fab. And I'm just glad. I'm glad. People, you don't have to stay in that. It's just toxicity at its finest. But that's what I want to end with Tokyo Toni last night. Tokyo Toni was in her bag last night. Now, I don't know if you've caught any snippets of China's show with Tokyo Toni. Listen, people don't like to say this, but I'm going to say it. I've seen this saying about a week ago on Facebook that said toxic mothers are just as bad as absent fathers. And that is the damn truth. But people don't like to talk about it. Like, people don't really want to go there because, if you don't have that kind of parenting, if you wasn't raised like that, you can't relate. Me personally, I cannot necessarily relate to that. I had great parents. I had a great mother. All right. We didn't always see eye to eye, and we would have our moments. And there was some things that now I can look back on and it's like, ooh, I would never want to do that to my kid or say that to my child, but I can fix that. But overall, I had a great mother, God rest her soul. All right. But when I see China and I see Tokyo all in her face, the way she talked to that girl, that is toxic. That is just toxic behavior. And the fact that Tokyo Toni got online yesterday and called out Future and basically said, you made my daughter get an abortion. So not only did she call out Future, but she put her daughter's business on blast because she's mad at China, or she's mad at the reality show producers or something like that. And she keeps going at her daughter. And I'm tired of seeing people say, well, at the end of the day, China needs to respect her mother. That's her mother. No, she doesn't, because not all people that give birth are mothers. And Tokyo is a prime example of what it means to be raised with a toxic parent. Some people you just got to cut off. Now I feel sorry for China. I for the longest time, I used to sit and judge China. Like, how she out here with all these different men and how she moving like this and this. And knowing that if this is the woman who raised her, good Lord, no wonder she is the way she is. No wonder. I'm looking at Tokyo Toni. I'm just thinking to myself, gosh, I just would have to cut her off. There is no way that I would want this woman to be around my kids and to inject that poison into them. Tokyo is a terrible mother. Point blank, period. I don't want to hear that, well, that's still her mama at the end of the day. She needs to respect her. No, because if you are going to treat me like this and it is detrimental to my peace and my happiness, I have to cut you off, even if you are my flesh and blood. Even if you are my flesh and blood. I had to do that to my own brother months ago. Love my brother. Love him. But I realized he was draining me. Draining my pockets, draining my peace. I was taking care of 2 households and it was getting sad. I was just so tired of it. My brother came home from jail after years. I was taking care, my father had passed away. I let my brother live in my father's old house, which is paid for. I was taking care of his bills. I was making sure, because I was like, well, I don't necessarily want him to live with me. So here's a whole house over here. I'll help him until he can get on his feet. Helping him with his bills. Then he meets a woman, moves her in after a couple of weeks with her and her family. Like, as I don't know where the hell they were before, but all of a sudden they all living in this house. And I'm just thinking, okay, well, whatever. Now I don't have to help you because you got this woman and her daughters. Now these are all grown ass people. These are not kids. Okay. This woman and her daughters and their kids living there. Surely all of y'all could take care of the bills. And then he calls and tells me, oh, well, we have I got a $1,500 light bill. What? You got one because I don't have one. And I was just realizing, I'm just thinking, I said to him, I'm like, what about all those grown ass people living over there? You know what? Then he want to get his ass on his shoulders and get upset. And I had to cut him off. I literally just stopped. I stopped. And I helped him for almost a year. And for him to do that and to try to kind of like, well, what we going to do about it? We ain't going to do nothing. I'm done. I was over here trying to take on an extra job just to pay for 2 households, and you got grown ass people in your house. Oh no. And that's when I realized toxic people do exist. And sometimes just to maintain your peace, you have to learn how to cut them off. I don't care if it's a family member. For your peace, you have to cut toxic people out of your life. And I know how difficult it is to hear it, but even if it means that as a parent, and that's when I saw with Tokyo, Toni, and China, I'm like, wow, she needs to cut her off. Tokyo is toxic, and people can just be toxic to your living, toxic to your peace. And just listening to how she talked to her just made my stomach turn, calling her all kinds of bitches and hoes. And I remember one time my mother and me had got into it. And I remember my mama saying, you bitch, and blah, blah, blah. And that still plays in my mind. Like, we got to stop talking to our kids like that. We should not be talking to our kids like that. That's not cool. And I do recall that. Now, like I said, my mama was a wonderful woman, but when she got in her bag, when she wanted to just start cussing folks out, she would just go in on me so hard. And that used to hurt when my own mother would call me names like that. And I just have never done it to my kids. I have never done that. And I promised that I would never talk to my kids like that. Never. And so when I saw that part with Tokyo Toni talking to China like that, it just flashed back in my mind like, oh, how many black households today are talking to their kids like that or have heard that kind of talk to their kids? We have got to stop. We've got to stop. And so, like I said, a toxic mother, in my opinion, is worse than an absent father. And I bet a lot of these kids out here that's lost and acting shitty, the kids that beat up Janise Harris, how much you want to bet they probably come from toxic mothers? And I'm going to just put it out there. More than likely, probably an absent daddy, but toxic mothers. The toxicity that was probably passed down to them, they are putting it in their girls, which is why the girls out there trying to fuck at 14 and 15 years old on some dirty dick boy. I'm just calling it what I see. I'm just calling it like I see it. I am almost certain that these kids come from toxic moms or mammies or women. I don't even know if I should call them mothers, okay? Because that ain't nobody raising them kids, all right? Or if you raising them to be just like you. And that ain't saying much if they out here beating on a kid that is mentally disabled. Even if the girl wasn't mentally disabled, the fact that they would have that kind of mob mentality to do that just lets you know they are absent of any kind of conscience, and they're definitely not absent with the understanding of right and wrong. They just don't give a shit. That's how I took it. And so, Tokyo was in her bag. I just was like, why would she put Black China's information out there about her having an abortion and aborting Future's child? It's out there, so I'm saying it because it's out there now. Tokyo put it all over all the internet blogs picked it up yesterday, and I'm just thinking, that ain't your business to tell. Then she talking about, you aborted my grandchild, and I'm like, oh, Tokyo. And then you wonder why this girl don't want nothing to do with you. You wonder why she don't want you in her life or her children's lives. I wouldn't want her around either. So like I said, spare me this whole, at the end of the day, that's her mother. That's, for us, we can say that if we had a good mother or a good father, at the end of the day, that's her mom. You can say that if you had a good mom, if you had a good upbringing. I hold no ill feelings towards China if she want to cut off the bullshit from Tokyo. Now, if she continues with Tokyo, that just lets me know that she's just doing it to get paid and she has bought into this and it's okay. But I can't stand that toxic bullshit. That's just a mess to me. I'm sorry. So I'm just going to end it right there, guys. Like I said, by the time you guys hear this, I will be on the road to North Carolina. You know, I hope all the kids do well, and I will try to catch up with you guys when I get there. So in the meantime, like I said, I'm gonna premiere it, but it's not live. Take care and have a decent and wonderful Saturday, guys.